Welcome back aboard Arabella. This week, Steve and Robin stay a bit longer in Oriental and make some headway on their first American Sailing Association certifications. And then Jack and Anne come aboard to take Arabella further south, but the cold weather they've been trying to escape comes right along with them.
Honey?
Yep.
Where are you?
I'm out here.
What are you doing?
So Josh called
From the Schooner Hindu?
from the Schooner Hindu,
Okay.
yeah, and was asking me if we were still in Oriental. So the weather hasn't let them get outside, so they came down the ICW, I guess,
Okay.
which he's never done in Hindu before. But long story short, they didn't get as far as they were hoping to,
Okay.
and there's a blow coming in, so they're gonna try to duck into Oriental.
Okay.
But they're too deep draft to get into the town dock.
Okay.
So he's got to anchor out by the seawall.
Okay.
And it sounds like they might not have come with a tender because they were just planning on running offshore to Florida.
Oh my God.
So he was wondering if we could come get them. And then he was saying he was nervous with the blow. They've got a good anchor, but they just have one.
Okay.
And he wasn't sure if he was gonna need to check the swing in any way.
Okay.
So I told him that I could run out with our 45-pound mantis and the chain and the rode and meet them and drop it off. And if they need a hand, I can throw the anchor over and set it for them so that they got a stern anchor. And he was very excited about that prospect. All right, I'll load it up. I got my copy of the ICW charts for him to check out. I got my lights on. And we're making our way to the bridge. Go meet the Hindu. Give him a hand. I think this is them. I don't know what other sailboat would be out here right now. Ahoy, mateys!
Howdy.
Somebody order a spare anchor?
Yeah, baby. Spare me an anchor.
Where would you like it?
Do you want to come up here under the light and we can tie you off midship somewhere?
Yeah. Your top sides are so tall.
I know. It's nice to stay dry.
Yeah.
But it is also
More challenging for this.
much more challenging. Ooh, look at this. I got your painter. Got
There
it.
you go.
I like your running lights. Man, you're dialed in here.
Dialed in. All right.
All right, yeah, keep the dry stuff dry.
Chart book. Brand new 100 feet of road.
Oh my God. Oh yeah.
Never used.
Great.
All right. And then
And
here's the end of the anchor chain.
Okay.
Keep it away from the bright work. This week's video is sponsored by Lumen. It is this little tool, which is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. How this works is you suck in through it in the morning, hold your breath, and exhale through it. And it lets you know whether your body is burning mostly fats or mostly carbs. Will help you with your fitness goals and stress management and getting your metabolism to be, you know, the best version of that it can be. And your metabolism is different for everyone. So this is a cool tool to add to that toolkit. And Robin is super into all of this.
I fancy myself a bit of an athlete, and as such, I'm always looking for more insight into my metabolic health. Losing weight is rarely one of my personal goals, but for me, it's about using the energy from the foods that I'm taking in to power my endurance workouts. This tool, Lumen, has offered so much insight into my metabolic health.
So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/acorn to get 20% off your Lumen. That is lumen.me/ACORN for 20% off your purchase. And big thanks to Lumen for sponsoring this episode.
You have 4 types of fire extinguishers. You got A, B, C, and D. A is for combustible items, clothing, wood. They burn at 1 degree, all right? And then
Steve and Robin spent the next week going back to school with Captain Scott over at Bow to Stern Sailing. On a 25-foot Catalina, they all went out to perform a proper man overboard drill using a buoy named Bob.
So when Bob's in the water, the float that's on the top that you're going to see is relatively the same size as your coconut.
Okay.
So when we're doing the exercise, keep that in mind, that this is what you're going to be looking for out there. All right. Man overboard!
Man overboard!
Scott, you're the spotter. Let me know when we're 4 boat lengths away. All right, right now you are 1 boat length. Robin, get ready to tack. 2 boat lengths. 3 boat lengths. 4 boat lengths. Tacking. Don't worry, Bob. I know it seems like we're going away, but we're coming back.
I would normally jump over and grab
Alright.
the jib, right?
Go ahead and head up to him.
Having the instructor that we had, Captain Scott, was not only a really fun guy to take the class with, like I feel like his humor brings a lot to the class.
Waves on the sea.
I also think that he brought a lot of real life experience and perspective.
He's got a lot of miles.
Lot of miles. And also to have someone who's seeing, like, this is the way ASA teaches it. These are some other considerations.
Yeah.
That's always really helpful because, you know, textbook knowledge is great when you're testing. But when you're really out there in the real world, knowing that, like, yes, practicing the figure 8 man overboard drill is, you know, it's a great skill to have. Realistically, if someone goes overboard, you're gonna approach it, you know, how you need to approach it in that situation.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that was, going over those drills was excellent.
All right, neutral. And reverse.
I know a lot of it was redundant information for you, but for me, you know, when we're running the boat, just the 2 of us, you are up doing the like hauling, lifting the sails and balancing the sails, and you're doing all that work. I'm usually just manning the tiller. I can point the boat in the right direction. I knew how to do that. I did not know, I didn't understand the mechanics of balancing sails. That was huge for me to learn. And I think also just very confidence building, being able to, like, how many times did I back up that Catalina? I backed
bunch,
in. I did, like, what, 6, 7, 8 times I backed into that slip.
Yeah.
That was huge for me to be able to feel how the wind was pushing the boat. And I know Arabella's a lot heavier than a Catalina 25, but getting the feel for that was really valuable to me.
Yeah.
I think I'll be able to help a lot more with the boat, not just be the person at the tiller, but actually be able to go raise sail and set sail. And, you know, now that I understand the mechanics of, you know, what to look for to know, like, if the boat's balanced.
Yeah.
Now I know. That's, you know, knowledge I didn't have a week ago.
It's been a long time since I sat down and taken a test.
Oh my gosh, filling in the little bubbles? I haven't done that since, I think, the SATs.
Yeah. I was hoping to never do that again.
Yeah, I hope. Well, we'll eventually take ASA 104 and up,
Yeah.
I assume, but maybe when we come back through Oriental on the way back north.
I don't know. Robin keeps talking about continuing south, so we'll see what happens.
I don't know.
She's pretty done with the cold.
I'm so done with the cold.
One day before leaving, Steve had a diver come out to give the bottom another scrub. This was done back in Booth Bay after sitting in the harbor there for the summer, but the trip through the fresh waters of the dismal swamp brought the growth right back, and it would slow down their speed if they didn't take care of it now.
Kind of a chilly morning. I'm on my way down to the town harbor to go get a tour of a shrimp boat. So when we got into town, we met this guy Will, and Will hooked me up with Sammy, who I believe is the shrimp boat captain. And we've been kind of trying to find a time to meet up, and today is the day. So I don't know anything about shrimping boats, and I'm pretty psyched to learn about it and get a tour and share it with you all. So get a little walk on this morning. Well, that was a bummer. I walked into town, which is, you know, not a terrible walk, but it's a walk, and then stood on the dock for an hour. And they were fueling up across the way and kept saying they'd be over soon, and the fueling got delayed, and finally he was like, "We're leaving as soon as the fuel's done, sorry." So walked into town and stood in the cold in the dock for an hour for nothing, but I headed back to the boat and go see if I can get some other stuff done. But that was a bummer. I was really psyched to check out a shrimp boat. I think that would be neat. So if any of you on the way south are a shrimp boat captain or know someone who is, get in touch, let us know. I'd love to get on a shrimp boat.
Getting ready to leave Oriental and keep moving south, Robin had hopped off the boat for a bit, and Jack and Ann were arriving the next day to crew the boat with Steve. Both Ann and Jack have experience sailing along the shore here, but it was quite a bit colder than usual for the Carolinas. And some rare winter storms were taking shape in the long-term forecast as well. So having a solid plan in place would be key.
You ready?
Ready. Well, that's the first time breaking ice with Victoria. Now we got a channel to follow back out.
Thanks for everything! We'll see you in the spring!
Just came back from a walk on Carrot Island / Horse Island.
Horse Island's the one next to Carrot Island,
That's right.
according to their map.
And so we've enjoyed being here, but we're gonna go tomorrow. we use a few different things to plan a passage like this, and I think that Jack uses similar ones to me. But basically predict wind for weather and wind direction offshore. I also check that against NOAA. Sounds, bays, and rivers. So here's your intracoastal waterways. Intercoastal waters, which are, these sort of areas here. And then you've got your outer coastal waters, which are out about 20 to 40 nautical miles here, you can see. So these are our zones, and we're going to go ahead and we're going to take a look at everything between where we are now. And then out here you have Cape Fear's down here somewhere. So we're going to probably pick a different zone, but this is a really good map to show you kind of how they do predictions in certain areas. That's what we use for weather. We use Active Captain to check the conditions at sort of how to get in and out of the places where we might stop, a near, a middle, and kind of a far distance. And that far distance would be, we're just trying to head south. So it could be that we head for Charleston first, and then we see how that is, and then we kind of, if we're still good, we continue on to southern Georgia. And if we're still good, we're going to keep going. Or if we need to provision, we would stop in at any one of those, or if someone feels poorly.
Yeah, or if weather changes beyond the prediction we've got, which we're looking good for at least the next few days in this area.
And we've talked a little bit about comfortability, like what our limits are as a crew.
Because it's chilly right now. Even though it's 49, 50 degrees out, it feels like 25, 30 degrees.
So when we're kind of in agreement about all of that, we know we have a plan, and so we're gonna head out tomorrow and see what we can do. Have one last look at those predict wind numbers, and how far out we need to go, how far out we want to travel at from the coast, and make some miles.
Make some miles.
The white line, I tie it to the cleat to keep the anchor from running away underway, but when we get close to the anchorage, I take it off the cleat and lace it through the chain so that it doesn't get hung up on the bow roller or anything. And then it's anchors away. I use this dial back here to tighten up the clutch, and that slows down the descent of the anchor. What we're trying to do is get the anchor to hit the bottom and bite, and then let the drift of the boat lay the chain out across the floor of the ocean. So if we're putting out 175 feet of chain, what we don't want is a pile of 175 feet of chain underneath the boat. We want the anchor 100 feet or so ahead of the boat, and that 175 feet of chain laid out in a nice smooth arc from that anchor up to the boat. So by letting out some chain and then tightening up the clutch a little bit and giving it a minute, letting everything tighten up, loosening the clutch, letting the boat start to drift a little bit, and it'll start to pull out more chain. So you can see the boat is slowly drifting back, and that chain is slowly pulling forward. And notice how it's rubbing on the bobstay. We try to mitigate that. And as that boat moves back, it's going to pull harder on the chain, and it'll get the chain to run. We'll tighten up the clutch a little bit. And if we're anchoring in heavy wind or swift current, this can be a really quick process. It can just pull the chain right out. And if we're anchoring in a dead calm, I might actually have to have the person at the helm put the boat in reverse so that we have some momentum and can lay the chain out and not just have it be in a big pile. Once I have as much chain out as we believe we need, I put on our tie here for the snubber. So this is made by Mantis, and it's a Dyneema line that we hitch around the anchor chain. You could use a chain hook for the same purpose, but I really like this line essentially press-sicked around the chain. It is not going anywhere. And there's a black line that goes to the stem. It attaches to a strong point just below the bobstay. And clip this big shackle on there and let that some more chain out so that instead of sitting to the chain through the bow roller and the windlass, at the end the chain will be slack and all of the weight of the boat will be taken by that black line and that Mantis attachment on the chain. I just got to make sure that that hardware clears the bow roller. So just pop it over the bow roller. And then let out enough chain until the chain on deck is totally slack. And that way the chain isn't rubbing and fouling the bobstay like it was when we dropped the anchor, and it's not waking me up in the middle of the night. And then I'll lock everything down on the windlass so that if for some reason that snubber failed, it would come onto the windlass.